All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Hangout series live. We are back here again every weekend. We're always here to give you the latest gist, to talk about the latest issues, and to address some of the latest problems as much as we have been doing for a long time now. So, welcome to the show. My name is Wisdom, and the Hangout series today we'll be doing our best to extend our conversation from last week on the BYF elections in Bonny local government, River State. That's Nigeria's rich oil and gas community. But most importantly, before I kickstart, I won't kickstart this show today without first of all commending Nigerians and Nigerians youth for the past few days for the advocacy on EdSARS campaign. The NSAS campaign went viral. The word here was heard us loud and clear. And the good news this evening, I'm so happy that it came before the show, is that SARS has officially been dissolved by the Inspector General of Police, um, and all members of the SARS unit have been redeployed. I mean, it's a plus for us, and personally, it says a lot to the power of citizens and how our power can transform and change anything. So this is sending love and best wishes and best prayers to every youth who went out there, to protest for the SARS brutality. That has been worrisome for many years. Some years ago, I was bruised. Me and my girlfriend at the time were bruised by the police, and that issue came to no logical conclusion because of how the police operate. And that happened in Bonny local government some many years ago. Just standing by a junction and police come and then they beat you for just standing at a junction, doing nothing, not finding anybody's trouble, not doing anything wrong. These are some of the issues and the many stories of how SARS has done so badly, handling citizens. I really must commend everybody globally for that campaign and everybody that lent their voice to it. Today, the voice of the citizens have won, and for me, I am very glad about it. SARS has officially been dissolved by the Nigerian police force. And like I said in my tweet on Twitter, I await the president to confirm that this decision was coming from him and he is standing by Nigerians. I think it will go a long way to say that in the same country, we would have thought the president would have addressed Nigerians with immediate effect, looking at the various protests across the country. But all the same, we are very glad that SARS has officially been dissolved. We look forward to the reform of the Nigerian police and the entire police architecture in Nigeria. All right. So, having said that, let's move to the next conversation we are going to be having today. We are narrowing down to the oil and gas rich community in River State called Bonny local government, called Bonny Island. So the BYF, the Bonny Youth Federation, which is the foremost youth organization on the island, will be having elections in a few days, and we are taking our conversations to the next level to talk about some of the reforms and the kind of leadership we expect from this youth organization, and how to make it better. So I have two good guests today that will be helping us dissect the issues and talk about some of the problems, and how we are going to face the elections in the coming day. What you're going to do for me, what they're going to do for us, please share the video you're watching across the various platforms, across your timeline, and across the various group. Tag your friends, and let's bring more people into the conversation. And the reason we are doing this is because we need to have a robust conversation, and we need to do more to share and tell our stories. Okay, so welcome my guests. Permit me to welcome my guests. I have Lancelot Allison. Lancelot is a unionist and is a major stakeholder in the BYF. Lancelot has been a delegate in the BYF for many years, and he will be confirming to us how many years that has been. But I know he has been a delegate in the BYF for quite some time. So he'll be helping us look at during his time as delegate and all the time he has spent in BYF, what has changed and what not has not changed. So, Lancelot, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right. Teme Dapa is a vocal citizen and an indigene of Bonny Island. And Teme has been very vocal on many issues, mostly political, adding his voice and making sure that the oppressors don't go away with some of their deeds. I'm happy to have Teme on the show. Teme is equally a very major stakeholder as a youth and a young person in Bonny Kingdom, and I'm happy to have him on the show. Teme, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right.
the opportunity.
All right, gentlemen. Just before we kickstart, welcome to the Hangout series once again. I know you two of you have been following this show for quite some time, and what have we trying to do over time is to address some of the very important issues that are affecting us, not just in Bonny. We've also tried to address issues across River State and across the country as a whole. I mean, our first October session was explosive, and we addressed a lot of issues within the Niger Delta, and that is my goal. But today, because Bonny is one of Nigeria's foremost oil and gas rich community, you know, the welfare of the youth is very important. And with the Bonny Youth Federation election coming up, I took it upon myself for the next few weeks to keep talking about the BYF and some of the issues so the world can actually hear us. So, anyways, welcome to the show once again. So, let me go straight to the question, Lancelot. So, how long have you been a delegate in the BYF, and how does the delegate system work? Just in 2 minutes, just help us give a brief background on that.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow
Yeah,
citizens.
yeah,
Um, I'll just go straight to the question. I would want to
yeah.
do an introduction. I've been a delegate. I could say I'm one of the luckiest chap, or luckiest youth in Bonny. By privilege of that, the moment I left secondary school, I became a delegate of the
Lancelot,
Bonny
can
Youth
you speak up a
Federation.
little, Lancelot, so we can hear you clearly?
Okay. I said the moment I left secondary school, I became a delegate of the Bonny Youth Federation. That was
Okay,
in 2006,
okay,
and then I've been there till date, until this current election, where
okay,
I'm thinking of backing out.
okay. From 2006, you have been a delegate in the BYF.
Yes.
All right. Your voice is a bit low. I would like you to speak up some more so that we can be able to hear you. Um, so, how does the delegate system work? I know the current youth caretaker committee has come up with a lot of guidelines on how to select the delegates. But I want to ask you from your experience, how does the delegate system work?
Okay. First of all, the whole idea about the delegate system is to be able to minimize social vices, especially during election.
Hmm.
Imagine if imagine if the whole Bonny gathers to elect their youth leader, the whole youth of Bonny gathers to elect their youth leader, how chaotic it's going to be. So and then we have a unique structure in Bonny local government, in
Hmm.
Bonny Kingdom. Whereas everybody in Bonny would identify that, okay, I'm from this particular house. You cannot see
Hmm.
anybody in Bonny roaming around the street that cannot say, okay, who are you? And he said, my name is so and so. From your son, you could be able to tell where your family house is. You understand?
Okay.
So we have, it's a unique structure. And then, as
Okay.
such, the founding fathers of PYF came together to say, okay, how can we actually represent all those units, all these structures in one form? And then they came up with the whole PYF idea, in order to approach their issues, as
Okay.
time goes on. So it's a selection from in this each independent houses.
Okay.
It is believed that the houses are independent of their own. So
Lancelot.
it's a
Okay.
selection from you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go on. Selection from the different
Okay.
houses. Go on.
Yes, from different houses. So
Okay.
it's the youth body that does the selection strictly, because the youth affair, and
Okay.
then they could do that in consultation with their chiefs if necessary, especially when there are issues of interests here and there. So that's the whole thing about the whole delegate selection, and it used to be 3-3. according to the constitution.
Oh, three delegates according to the constitution. So the
Yes.
chiefs select the delegates
No,
and
no,
send the
no,
dele.
no.
Okay,
The
okay.
chiefs don't
How did
select the delegates.
okay? How
The
does it
youth
work?
leader, the youth
Okay, the
leader,
youth leader. Okay,
yes, in an executive meeting or a
okay,
congress meeting, comes up with
okay,
the list of the delegates, and
okay.
then, if necessary, if there is any chaos or if there is
Mm,
any challenge, they can approach
okay,
their chief for vetting or for
okay,
ratification. It is not that the chief chooses for them.
okay, okay,
The youth body does not operate on its own. They work in pari passu with the chief of the house, just like the BYF does not operate on its own. They are in partnership with every other parastatals of the kingdom, especially the
okay,
traditional institution and the local government.
okay. All right. So I heard that you were in the contest for the youth leader of the BYF, but I'm aware that you have dropped out of that race. What went wrong?
Okay. First of all, in there is what they call a zoning system. It is
Okay.
a gentleman understanding amongst all the houses. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the stakeholders of the BYF before now came together to divide the 34 chieftaincy houses into 12 blocks.
Mm.
Mind you, this is not constitutional.
Okay.
The 12 blocking system is not in the constitution. But
Okay.
in order to see how they can be able to manage and reduce electoral vices, they came together to say, okay, we'll divide all the houses into 12 blocks. We have the
Okay.
Apalamapi block comprising of Long John, the Long John Chieftaincy House, the Abraham Hart, the Alaputa, and the Jack Manila Pepo. That is the Apalama B block.
Okay.
We have the Allison block, which is the Ada Allison, Wuju, and Jamaica Allison. We have the
Mm.
Finima block, which is the Tobin, Brown, and Anthony. We have the Western Axis, or the Calibiama block, which is the Pauline, Tolufare, and Bristol. We have the Wicos block. We have data, it is divided up to 12. Now,
Okay.
each administration, one person represents each block. One officer comes out from each block to contest this
Mm.
election,
Okay.
and then
So,
from the block, it is then
mm.
zoned. Like for example, in Allison House, we could say, okay, before now it was the Nwoju that the other Allison that went. So currently now is the Jamaica Allison that is supposed to go. Like the previous administration, you will see that's why in every of the administration, each block is represented year in, year out. So
so
now,
why did you drop out?
why
Yeah.
yes, why I dropped out. Um, when I opted for a renewal of my delegation, I requested
Mm-hmm.
for a renewal because every administration that comes renews your delegation, and over the
Okay.
years, my delegation have been renewed. So when I requested for the renewal of my delegation, and then with my interests at hand, my chief and the stakeholders of the house felt I've stayed there for too long a time and I should give way for other persons to go. So and then I'm not the only person in the house, so I have to reasonably allow other persons to go too, so that they can enjoy what they felt I've been enjoying.
Do you accept this decision of your chief?
Even as much as it doesn't go down well with me,
Mm.
it is a majority opinion, and I have to allow that to fly.
All right. I'll come to you next, but let me go to Teme. Teme, just like Lancelot and myself, we have lived in Bonny for quite a long time, and we are aware of what the BYF is and what it stands for. You know, in my conversation last week with the chairman of the caretaker committee, when I asked him some questions on what the BYF stands for and why the cost of the form for the youth leader position is up to 100,000 naira. His comments were when I asked him if it is a money making venture, he kind of concurred to that statement. What do you think?
Well, I listened to you guys that day, and it came as a shock that anybody will justify the high cost of funds. Mind you, this president that is being set, some other caretaker or electoral officer will recall this day, and probably in 3 4 years time they will increase their own form to 200,000. It's a standard,
Mm,
and it's very dangerous. A dangerous standard that we are just started. And I want to assure you that the next election after this one, the forms will be sold twice the price of this one, and it's very dangerous. I don't see any reason why an office that is not money making, the form should be placed this high. This is used for Christ's sake. In
he said two things. He said, sorry to button. He said two things. He said, one, the cost of the form for youth leader as high as 100,000 is to reduce the crowd that will come for that position. And secondly, he said, say it is only me that think the position of a youth leader or the BYF is not a money making venture, because everybody that has gone through the system has one way or the other benefited from it.
uh, I also heard that, and is with due respect to him, it's unfortunate. Probably that is why the BYF is still where it is today, because of such ideology. If
Hmm.
the money or whatever they get from there is put into judicial use, then the youth of Bonny would have gone beyond this level we are now. According to him, he said he has been there for 20 years. What has changed over 20 years? Is the BYF now better than where it was 20 years ago? The
Hmm.
answer is no. Because of reasoning like this, you will end up chasing those that genuinely want to lead, that have the charisma and everything it takes for someone to lead, because they don't have the financial standing to buy from.
Hmm.
It is painful. It is painful. In as much as I acknowledge the fact that we need to discourage people that are not serious to contest this election. But for crying out loud, 100,000 for a form is too high. Why not discourage them in terms of education? Why not use that? Rather, you made it possible for every SSC graduate to contest. Yet, you make it difficult for someone that doesn't have money to contest. I don't reconcile that. I can't reconcile that. I
In
can't
your
reconcile
view,
that.
how much would have made sense for the form of youth leader?
Okay, for the form of youth leader, 25,000 naira is fine. In my
Hmm.
view, 25,000 naira is fine.
Hmm. Okay, just before I move back to Lancelot, how would you define the Bonny Youth Federation, at least for the past 20 years? If you will use two words or three just to describe the BYF. Teme, that's for you.
Okay, for me,
Yes.
ah, well, I will I will use the word. It will not sound fine, but it's retrogressive, because
Hmm.
I cannot compare the time of statesman to what we have now. We are supposed to be growing. I don't know if you get me.
Okay.
The BYF that late statesman left and the BYF we have now, it's not the same thing. They were not at the point the youth are supposed to be at then. But today we have even sunk lower and below the standard that they had then.
Hmm. All right. Lancelot, you have been a delegate for quite some time, so maybe you understand some things better than me and Teme. Um, Teme, you mentioned the word standard. What kind of standard would you say was set for the BYF initially when it was created, and where are we currently with that standard?
Okay, if you read my article, or if you have read my article, Reorganization and Restructuring the Bonny Youth Federation, that article, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear, but just speak up a little more. I can hear you.
Okay, that article was written far back in 2013, and then till date, the proposals in that article are still valid. Reason being that, um, as a delegate, I observed, I worked with executives, I contributed in the making of leaders from that 2006. I was in the election of Odifbara Willie Pepo. That was 2000, and I think that was at 2006, 2007. I was in the Gifuru first tenor election. I was in
Mm,
Gifuru second tenor election. I was in Simeon Wiko's first tenor and second tenor election. And then this is the transition. This is supposed to be Simeon's second tenor transition to
mm,
another government. So while I was a delegate, I have also learned and developed myself in several areas, and then I compared our youth body with other youth bodies that I've been privileged to see, because I've also traveled far and near. So I came up with that whole idea because I believe that, if at the end of the day I do not become, or I do not serve in the executive arm as a
mm,
delegate, my contribution should be able to change things.
mm,
Today, I pointed out some vital points, which are the bane, the most of the issues that we're having in the GRF over the years. And then I first thing that was there is the calibers of persons that the house is sent as delegates. See, you cannot send fishermen, into the farm to catch, to yield good products. I don't know if you understand me.
So,
You know, a lot of
Lancer,
time, a lot of time,
Lancer,
a
hold
lot,
on. What I was actually asking was, from inception, what kind of standard have we been working with, in leading the BYF, and where are we now? So we
okay,
don't
now
go into too many
yes,
histories. Yeah.
every leadership comes with their own approach.
Okay.
Before that, Willie People leadership was more like a silent leadership, but they were able to achieve what they wanted to achieve. Then it was generally believed that, it was, the product, the administration was a product of the palace. And then you could see people not wanting to challenge or question the activities because you don't want to be in the bad book of the palace. So now,
Mm,
when you're talking about standard, individual leadership comes up. Gifuru, first tenure, it was believed that Gifuru was a product of the government, and those who are loyal to the government will not want to question and challenge the activities of the administration as at then. And
mm,
then the second tenure, also, people had their own perception on how it came about. But we that are the key players, we know how all these all these leaders emerges. And then while the admission is ongoing, the standard that you see, it's dependent on kind of leader the kind of leader or the kind of stuff the leader is made up of. You understand?
mm-hmm,
You don't if you come to my house and I'm always, my room is always unkept, you don't expect me to come to an organization and begin to tidy things. You understand?
mm,
So before we choose, or if we want to upgrade the standard, we must look inward and choose a leader that we believe very well that can be able to develop, you know, the organization from their way of life. There are a lot of challenges. Seriously, for someone like me who have been there for about 14 years, I could tell you, there are peculiar challenges that are peculiar to individual leadership. And then that was why those my recommendations, you see them,
mm,
it goes from different steps of it. I came up with
okay.
different steps because
Well,
these are my own point of view. So if you're asking of the standard it was,
mm,
then it has been up and down. Because an admission can start up very well and then end up badly. Also, an admission can start up badly and end up at least fairly. You understand? We've seen this
okay.
thing happen over time. So you
Okay.
cannot say, okay, there is a standard that has been kept, and then
Mm,
everybody who comes to the system maintains that standard.
okay.
You cannot say that for sure. But what we know that, okay, there is a constitution and everybody is
Mm,
abiding by the constitution. and we are trying as much as we can to make sure that since we are working according to the constitution, we don't change it.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
there are a lot of time when we have seen the coercion or the pressure from either government or the traditional institution to select for us who will be the youth leader,
Okay.
by way of persuasion. So,
So
and then
let
that also affects the administration in its entirety.
all right. Viewers, if you're watching, you can send your questions to the comment box, and I'll be reading it for my two guests. And you can help us to bring more people on the conversation. Please and please, the button below your screen as you're watching on your phone, kindly help us share the video on the many groups you have and on your timeline. And please tag your friends to join the conversation so that we can have more views and opinions. This is a very important issue if you're watching from Bonny Island. Teme, now let me come to you. Like Lancelot mentioned, there has always been interference in from government and from traditional palace, knowing or unknowingly. Like the Gibbs Furu administration, like he said in the first tenure, it was perceived that the government was behind his emergence. But I want to ask you, the influence from the palace and the local government. Is there a way we can reduce it? What kind of recommendation can you give? I mean, you watch from the outside, so I believe that you see what is happening. How do we handle this interference?
Okay, first, we need to forge our hearts with the thought that every youth organization uh, is constructed in such a way to fight the traditional institution or the local government. That is not true. I believe the right thing should be that every youth organization should respect the traditional institution and also collaborate with the local government, but protect fearlessly the interest and aspiration of the youth. When we have this understanding, the traditional institution should not feel that the youth leaders are coming to fight them. The local government shouldn't feel the same thing. In fact, I believe that every youth leader or every youth body should be independent but respect the authorities they are being. I don't know if you get me.
I'm with you.
Is it ideology that the youth leader can be used to fight a particular parastatal that is getting us into all this mess? And I also want to believe that the king that I know is not interfering. There are people that are using the name of the king to perpetrate all these things. The king is not interfering, but there are people, I don't want to call names, there are people that people go to around the king and use their name to pose as if he's the king. Lately, the king's name has been the most used name in Bonny.
Hmm.
If you want to get anything, you say that is the king. But investigate it. In the real sense, it's not the king. People are posing using the name of the king for their own personal gratification, for their own
Hmm.
personal interest. So these are things that we need to stop in this kingdom. These are things we need to correct. There are people that are now mightier than the chiefs in Bonny Kingdom. They feel they are mightier than the chiefs. They are taking the responsibilities of the chiefs of the kingdom upon themselves. And these are situations that we need to correct sooner or later, if not, it's going to haunt us in this kingdom. I hear people say, I've been ordained by so person in the palace. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. I hear people say, I've been ordained by so person in council. How do you intend to stand and fight for the cause of the youth when you are entangled with all these institutions? No wonder the Bonny youth have never been able to garner the population of 0.2% of Bonny youth in any of their same event. They should go and check
Hmm.
all the events that they've called, all the events that they've organized. They've not been able to gather the least 0.2% because the Bonny people don't accept the crop of leaders we have in Bonny Youth Federation. And I'm scared that we are still going to fall into that trap this time around. This is the
Why do you say
time
so?
that because of what I'm seeing on ground, because of the games that is unveiling. People claiming that they're anointed by the palace. People claiming that they're anointed by the council. And I'm very worried because the person handling this election is
Mm,
highly political.
mm.
He is a politician and you can't take it away from him. His blood group is politics. So I am very worried with the way the election will be conducted with such kind of situation. I'm
Okay.
very, I think to state it the way it is.
All right. Lancelot, before I ask you if you are going to trust the conduct of this election by the caretaker committee, I just recall something you have in your 2013 piece on the restructuring of the BYF. You made a case that only the position for youth leader should be contested for, and other positions should be appointed. Why did you say that, and what would that change?
Okay, specifically, if you run that memory lane, you realize that one of the major challenges that the administration don't normally have, from time to time, is this competition among the executives. There is no this. Everybody believes that they contested the election, and as such, they have their own manifesto to catch up with, to meet up with, their own promises to meet up with. Nobody follows the direction that okay, the youth leader has a dream, who is supposed to be the captain of the ship, and then every other person you marry your own to it. So at that point in time, you will see towards the end of the or maybe after the first year, because it is 2 years administration. After the first
Mm,
year, you see director of manpower will tell you, see, I promised the use of money that I'm going to give them so and so and so, and you see him struggling to achieve that manifesto. And then you see
mm,
the secretary and the deputy leader also struggling to catch up with their own manifesto. And then the youth
mm,
leader, who is supposed to be the captain of the ship, that every other person's dream is to be married to his, and then you see how they could
mm.
be able to achieve it for the common interest of the Bonny people. You will see him also struggling to achieve his own dream. By so doing, you will see at some point in time there will be a crack in the understanding of the executive. And before you know it, they start court cases, they start litigations. It's either they start quarreling among the executives because maybe they believe that I have not achieved my own manifesto, and also my own personal interest. I've not been able to achieve anything. And then
Mm,
before you know it, the whole administration, the tenure will come to an end without them achieving anything. This is not the first time. It's not the first time it has happened over the years. And that's why I
mm,
tell you, if for instance, we have the youth leader being contested for, you understand?
mhm.
And then the youth leader marshals out his executives that are going to be helping him achieve the vision. It's going to help reduce the vices, the crisis that has, in time to time, you know, alter the direction of the youth of Bonny. Because if you
Okay,
when they start fighting, it is not they that suffers a lot. It is
so
the poor masses
let
for
me
whom they are advocating for that suffers.
sorry, let me butt in there. Let me understand the concept now. So we should have like the position of youth leader contested for, and then the youth leader presents the different category of people that will work for him in his administration, and Bonny youths or the delegates come forward to
Ratified.
vote to ratify it and vote for the leader among the list of leaders that will be contesting for that position. Is that it?
Uh, Let, let me, you said a lot of things. Now, let me say, first, the youth leader, anybody from any house, as long as you're a delegate, hmm,
Mm,
can contest for the youth leadership position. They can be
okay.
as much as they want to be, but it's one office. Just
Okay.
for instance, for example, the local government. You
Yes.
see, there is harmony in the local government, but there is, if you look between the local government and the councillors, there's always this crack because they believe they also contested election.
Okay.
You understand? So, and as such, they have a mandate to meet up with. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, that if we're able to reduce the number of elections and the number of promises that are being made, because some persons come to election and make voluminous promises to people, which they do
Mm-hmm.
not know how to achieve when they finally get the power. And as such, when the tenure of office is almost coming to an end and they have not been able to achieve it, they start fighting the system.
Mm.
They
Okay,
become agitated. You know, so
but
I am of the opinion that everybody, as much as they can, if it is zoning, they want to zone it. You understand?
mm-hmm,
It's okay. The leadership this time is zoned to social block, and then
mm-hmm,
anybody from the block can contest this office. And at the end of that, the leadership comes up, picks up 11 executive members by appointment, and send them
mm-hmm,
to the Congress for ratification.
mm-hmm,
If the youth leader is able to appoint those persons who can work with him, and if they misbehave, he has what it takes to return them back to the Congress, and then before you know it, they could easily sack any official that is not up and doing, and replace the
mm-hmm.
person with another person. You understand? That will also put them on their toes. To Because I've seen administration where only the youth leader is working and every other officers are
Is
dormant.
resting.
They're
Okay,
waiting,
but
they're waiting for the leader to.
such an interesting concept. But I want to ask, since you have been a delegate for the past 14 years, have you not tried driving this concept through the Congress to the leadership of the BYF?
Now, if you look at the Simeon administration, you will see some of this my recommendation playing out. First of all, my first recommendation was that this organization is not a registered one. Do you know that? Do you know that? Sorry.
We'll come to that. We'll come to. I don't want us to that. I just wanted to know if you had tried to push this concept on the leadership through the Congress to the BYF.
Very well. I've done that. I've done that,
Okay,
and that was why you saw the attempt to register the body by Simeon's administration,
okay.
because it was
Um,
part of my recommendation.
all right. Interesting. Tell me,
I'm sure you read it.
yeah, I read it. But let me move to Teme. Teme, I see you smiling. I see you shaking your head. But do you? I feel like it's going to be such an interesting concept, and it will reduce the plenty noise we see in the BYF election every 2 years or every election cycle. Because just imagine if the governor of Rivers State has to contest the position of governor with other cabinet members on the ballot
Otab
box.
and
So
the SSG and the
la-
other commissioners.
last lot I'm coming. So imagine the governor has to contest the election with his cabinet, and
Yeah.
all his commissioners are also coming forward with a manifesto. How would that play out? So tell me, I want to hear your views. I know you have been shaking your head and smiling, so let me allow you to share your view on that. What do you think? A good concept or no
Yeah.
no?
I want to appreciate your time you put in developing this, but my brother, I can assure you that it will give the leader high level of arrogance. It will make him untouchable. He has the right to fire and hire, and by the time you start giving a youth such kind of power, the impetus, you can't control it. The truth
Hmm.
of the matter is that election gives you equal rights. You may not be the leader, but you have sense of belonging that the people voted for you.
Hmm.
Even when you are working, you'll be working with every boldness that at least the people wanted you to be there. That is why you are there. So if you're giving the leader this much power, okay, imagine what's happening in River State. As we speak now, who can challenge Wiki? Nobody,
No,
You have
because
been
of power.
challenging him. You have been
you're
So
challenging him, Teme.
you're,
Teme, you
you're
have been
going
challenging him.
obviously.
Last 1 minute. Let him finish.
So
Okay.
as it is now, look at the political system. Who can challenge them? Because the only people that can challenge the chairman are the councillors because they are elected. So if you leave this thing this way, the way you are suggesting, then you will give the leader so much a robust power that he cannot control. Who checkmates the leader then if it's like this?
Can I come in?
Last one, just 1 minute. But tell me, if you're looking at just the power the leader is going to wield, are you not looking at it that will make the system itself
That's
run
an
properly? Does it not make sense? Aside the
This,
power the leader is going to have, which
Miss,
constitutionally can be curtailed also by the delegate and the Congress. I'm just thinking out of the box, looking at how constituted authorities operate. But are you just looking at it as only the powers of the youth leader, or you're looking at it how the system itself is going to work?
I'm looking at it in a holistic view.
Okay.
Have you imagined a situation whereby in a year the leader dissolves his this an executive 3 times because somebody there is challenging him? The secretary challenge him, he dissolve him. Before the year runs out, you find out that the leader abused his power to dissolve not less than 4 persons. That will also truncate the progress of the youth. Don't you think so?
Hmm.
So these are things.
can I
So
can I
most times look at things in 2 ways. You understand?
can I
Don't
answer a
always
question then?
look it in one perspective. Look at it in 2 ways. The leader will be firing and hiring at will. You will
Uh,
find out
Can I
that
ask a question?
activities will be truncated because of the leader's rights to fire at will.
okay. Okay.
Can I
Tell me. Let me allow Lancelot to. Lancelot, go on. Go on. I know you have a
Go
lot
ahead.
to respond to that.
that recommendation was carefully thoughtful,
Okay.
and then we looked at the excesses, and then the arrogancy, or the they said absolute power corrupt, and
Corrupt.
absolute power corrupt absolutely. Now,
Yes.
Absolutely.
there is a body of all youth leaders. I am part of the pioneers of that body. We started Bonny Youth Leaders Forum, and then it is believed that it is Bonny Youth Leaders Forum that makes up the majority of the Congress. It is expected that every youth leader is an automatic delegate in Bonny Federation, and then it is the Bonny Youth Leaders Forum that serves, and two other persons attached to them that serves as the Congress of the Bonny Youth Federation. Now, if
Okay.
for any reason the youth leader is actually overshooting his bounds, the
Hmm.
Congress is there. You understand? The Congress has everything it takes to hire and fire the youth leader.
Okay.
So there will be no absolute power in this case. And that was
Okay.
why we come up with that. But see, Teme, sincerely speaking, to everyone who is listening, I have been in this system for about 14 years. And one of the major crises that this organization faces is the internal rancor. You've
Hmm.
not been there, I've been there. They keep fighting every now and then. And then when they start fighting, you will see the multinationals will just sit back. And then most time it is these multinationals that instigates this fight among them. Because they know that once they start fighting, they will lose direction.
Hmm.
And then
Mm.
as such, if you cannot come up with an idea on how to reduce this infight, then you've not started yet, because the system will remain like that. See, this for multinational, they have this feeling that it is 2 years. You understand? First
Hmm.
one
Yeah.
year, we use it to understudy the system because you're coming in as a novice. You
Hmm.
understand? Use it to
Yeah.
know, okay, how does people operate? How do those people operate? And they will give you that 1 year. By the time you're done with that 1 year, they have started instigating crisis. You will see one EROC, or one community officer in the company. You will see them trying to work with your secretary, leaving you behind, you as his leader. You will see them
Uh-huh.
calling your deputy and your secretary on for a meeting without your notice.
Hmm.
And then they will gladly do that because they believe that they are also elected. But if they are not elected, if they are appointed, they know that everything they do, the leader can hire and fire them. So they will not want to attend such meeting. And then you will see on some cases where the leader will say,
So, but did
write
you
letter. And
consider?
then the secretary will
Sorry,
say, I will not write.
Lancelot, did you consider what Temen mentioned? Temen said, have you considered a situation where in less than a year, the executives has been dissolved more than 3 times or 4 times? I mean, that also creates another lacuna in the leadership of that administration. So what do
See,
you think about that?
as it stands now, everybody, once the executives are elected, everybody looks up to the youth leader. for results. Nobody looks out to director of manpower. Nobody looks out to director of finance. Nobody looks out to director of pollution. Everybody focuses on the youth leader. And then when the administration is not going that way, you blame the youth leader. So if the youth leader, in his own knowledge, believes that okay, the secretary is not helping me achieve the dreams of Bonny, it is simple knowledge. The council chairman can wake up one morning and say, okay, secretary, you've not been up and doing. Please let us bring in somebody. And then you cannot just do it on your own, mind you. You always bring it to the Congress. And then if there are issues that needs to be looked into, that maybe if it's an issue of intimidation, the Congress can look into it and set up a committee and say, okay, for this recommendation that the leader wants to actually fire this person. You understand?
Mm,
We can set up a committee and investigate that person, and then attend, because if you imagine why the secretary is not doing his job,
mm.
the
Okay.
organization will suffer.
Lancelot, somebody just said on the comment section, Prince Tony Dapper, he said, "My good friend Lancelot, your ideas are too complex. So, how much had the body you just mentioned tried to solve the last pressing issues of the BYF? Which body is he mentioning? Okay, that's the youth body. Yes, the youth leaders body. How have they tried to solve the issues of the BYF over time? So just answer that in 1 minute. I want to open the phone lines so people can call in and ask you guys questions just for 1 minute. Then I will take some more questions before we round up the show.
Okay, practically the youth leaders forum has not been well structured. We founded it. We believe that as over time, it's going to go through some level of development and become more solid. As I speak to you, I think the last time, the last time the that admission I handed over to Imam Fine Country,
Hmm.
it's over 4 years, and yet
Did
Imam
you
Fine Country is yet to hand
Sorry,
over.
did you pioneer that youth body or Emmanuel
Yes,
Fine Country pioneered it?
no, 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 no. Imam Fine Country inherited this body from us. I could mention few persons who came together with the whole idea. It was during Barrister Edward's Pepper's administration as a local government chairman. That was when we founded this body.
Okay, go on, go on, go
It
on.
wasn't
Okay,
the
go
man in
on.
my country. So
Okay.
if if the Bonny Youth Leaders Forum has been well structured and then and then enshrined into the constitution
Mm,
of the Bonny Youth Federation, and then they solidify, because currently it lies in the hands of the youth organization, like the individual or the federating unit, we will call it, to send their youth leader or not. Most of time, the people they sent to as delegates, some of them ended up might not be the youth leader of their houses. So as part of my recommendation, I'm of the opinion that every youth leader is an automatic delegate,
okay.
and then two other persons. So if the youth leader of the Boeing Federation knows that we have 34 youth leaders in Congress to deal
Mm.
with, of course he's going to be on his toes,
All right.
because he knows
Okay.
that he knows that this youth leaders control the entire youth of Bonny
Okay.
independently.
Okay. Okay. So viewers, again, it's been an interesting conversation. Please help us share the videos to your various groups and on your timeline, and tag your friends to also join in on the conversation, so we can have more things to add and more things to say. So if you look on the screen, viewers, you can see the number on the screen. You can call the number if you want to ask your questions to the guest directly. And it's still our calling is still a work in progress. We will just keep till we have a better system to manage it. But I see that a lot of people would prefer to call in and share their views instead of typing in the comment section. But try and call in and let's see how we can get your questions across to the people. Teme, um, uh, the youth leader body, what do you think about it? How have they been effective so far? Is a body of all the different youth leaders in the 34 chieftaincy houses. Do you think they have been doing well enough for the BYF over time?
Like he said, he rightly said, they have not been enshrined in the constitution. So
Okay.
right now, yeah, I'm aware of the body, and I believe Emmanuel is their leader. I don't know of now, but previously I know before now he's the leader of the youth leaders.
Okay.
So they've been there, but their activities cannot cannot be linked officially to BYF because they are not recognized by the constitution of the BYF.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, it's a nice organization. I I I also support it, but I think they should strengthen it and enshrine it in the constitution so that they will
Hmm.
have a say. They should be like a check and balance, like the Senate in the BYF, to
Hmm.
reconcile the executive arm of the BYF. That's what I feel they should graduate to.
Okay.
So that's my take on that.
All right. Just to move forward in the conversation, so the numbers are on your screen, just in case you need to call. The number is 081 120 90862. So feel free to call in and share your views. And last, Lord, just before I take any call from the viewers, do you are you confident in the caretaker committee to manage this election on the 24th of October?
Well, that's a personal question. First and first, you 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 look at the reason we have constitution is because everybody have to come in and abide to that rule. You understand?
Okay,
If there
just
are
hold
no
on
constitution,
one
there's
minute.
anarchy.
We have a call. Let me just take this one.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. Your name, where you're calling from, and your question.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Kingston Ajay Aladia.
Okay.
I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to say good evening to Kenneth and Lancelot. At least
Go
I've
ahead.
been in
Evening, brother.
the PIF as a delegate for 7 to 8. I really understand what plays out there. And I want to say from there that of the opinion that this form that forum will cause a little bit of small problem to the BYF as a body. Because they will find themselves as one of the challengers on the system. Hello, are you with me?
Yeah. You have 1 minute. So what's your question? You're talking about the youth leaders forum.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, that forum help the BYF grow. They are going to fight. They are going to change the system.
Okay.
Their leadership will always believe that he has, like they said, on his side. So he can go to the parliament and challenge the leader. And with that, it's going to affect the system.
All right. All right. Thank you, Kinsky. Okay. So I think he was trying to talk about the youth leader forum and how it's been working over time. But Lancelot, let me allow you to go on. So you're talking about how confident you are in the caretaker committee to manage the elections. Go on, please.
Okay. Sincerely speaking, being a custodian and a stakeholder of this organization,
Mm.
there are certain things I have seen which I'm not okay with. I must tell you the truth.
You
Um,
want to name a few of them so that
yes, yes,
we are
yes.
going along with you. Yeah.
Now, now, there were from when the executive was dissolved,
Mm-hmm.
there was a constitution,
Okay.
and then the executive was dissolved, and a new set of persons was constituted to manage the affairs and help in the transition of power.
Yes.
And then it is expected that for 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 us to come together, we must follow a precedent, we must follow a rule.
Okay.
And the area I'm not confident of, or I'm not certain, is in there are two areas. One, the issue that has to do with bringing five delegates and selecting three from them. I am not
Okay.
confident about. I don't buy that idea.
Okay.
It is not. it is not in the constitution. And then when the Eleco city caretaker committee chairman said that the constitution is no longer active, then I wonder where the body is coming from, because it is the constitution that formed the body.
Okay.
You still bear Bonny Federation, and you're saying the constitution of Bonny Federation is not active in the Bonny Federation election. It
All
is
right.
appropriating
So
reason.
let me
I am
let
not
me
comfortable. I'm not
let me
comfortable with that one first. I'm not so comfortable with
okay.
the idea of the Directorate of Women Affairs. It is not in our
Mm,
constitution.
okay.
You understand? So with these two alone, I'm not too sure that the system will actually produce the true leaders that of which Bonny youth will be proud of to say this is our youth.
Okay. As a delegate for over 14 years, have you ever been profiled by the DSS before any election?
Well, no, I have not. The answer is no, I have not. Before the house sends you, it is believed that you're of credible character.
Okay.
You
All
understand?
right.
So the house will
So
not send somebody who is a criminal
okay. So let me just
who has
recall.
character.
Let me just rephrase what he said, because I asked him of the Constitution when I had him on the show last week, and he categorically said that there was no Constitution handed over to him by the last administration, and him and his committee had to put together some guidelines to guide the workings of the committee and guide the election or the electoral process that is currently ongoing. So
Can
he's
I say
saying
something?
there was no constitution handed over to him. So,
Okay,
but
that's
before I ask you the next one, let me just allow Teme to say some few words on what you have said.
okay.
Teme, go on.
Okay.
Te-
Wisdom. There is
Yes.
big difference between no constitution. There is big difference between no constitution was handed over to me and there is no constitution existing.
Okay.
If constitution wasn't handed over to the caretaker chairman, doesn't mean BYF doesn't have a standing constitution.
Okay.
But the fact that there is no constitution handed over to you does not nullify the fact that there is a constitution which you have been operating with. If you notice, most of the positions that is canvassed for here are positions that have been enshrined in the constitution of BYF.
Correct.
Instituting a new position, woman leader or whatsoever, one thing I want people to know is not the present, but the future. You are giving room for litigation. You are giving room for the person that will occupy that position not to enjoy it, because somebody will come
Mm,
out tomorrow and contest it in court, and the person occupying that position will lose that position. Nothing is backing that position up as we speak today. So those are the issues that this caretaker should take into cognizance. It's easy for you to stand and formulate anything, but do you have the
mm,
backing of the law? Can it stand the test of time? Those are the questions we should answer. And secondly, the issue of delegates and chieftaincy, this is an issue. In Bonny, we know some houses are having chieftaincy issue and foreseeing a lot of litigations after this election, if it has not started coming now, because the caretaker chairman is meddling into personal or private house issues. There are some houses that presented two delegate lists from
mm.
two warring factions in a community. As a chairman, what are you supposed to do when you don't have the definition, when you've not seen a court judgment validating one against the other? What do? You step down the both list and ask them to harmonize. But the caretaker chairman, in his own wisdom, is choosing who to accept the list from two warring factions.
Okay,
And
but
for
Teme, in fairness to him, he said he will accept if a house is having issues and they are lists presented before the caretaker committee, he will accept the list that has a backing from the Amayanabo in council, supporting or a supporting document from the Amanabo in council or his chief council's palace recognizing the authority of whoever is authorizing that list. in fairness to him, he did not say he would just accept any list, because I asked him categorically, how would you handle issues from the different houses when they arise? And he said some of those houses are having issues, the list that can come from the Chiefs Council with a backing on it, some of that they will consider. But if your house is having a court, is in court, and you can produce a court judgment on what on the whatever person is authorized in giving the list, he's going to pay attention to it. I'm just saying that in fairness to him, because I
Yeah,
asked him
yeah,
the
yeah,
question.
yeah. That happens in one of the recent houses. A house actually gave a court judgment validating
Okay.
a particular list, but he turned it down.
Oh,
That is
really?
yes, yes.
Hmm.
I I'm on air, so I wouldn't want to make some statement, but he knows what I'm saying. He knows what
Okay.
I'm saying, and those are loopholes. It's giving room for litigations. In fact, it's contempt of court. It's
Hmm.
contempt of court. We should be very careful when it has to do with this whole thing, because the whole efforts may be, if someone has been disenfranchised from contesting, you get me, the person may
Hmm.
go to court and the whole election will be cancelled because he was supposed to be a delegate, and for some sort of reasons you deny him that. He can challenge it in court and this election will be cancelled. I'm just giving a clue because I
Okay.
suspect it's going to happen.
All right. So, Lancelot, let me allow you. You want to say something on that, but I want you to also talk about, regardless of constitution or not, we need the position of youth woman leader in the BYF. And
That's it.
I know there are issues that are constitutional, but right now in 2020, we actually need that position to be able to lead the women. There are so many issues affecting women and girls in Bonny, and we need someone to pay critical attention to it and work in alignment with the women leader of Bonny to be able to address this issue from the youth angle. So
Okay.
just
Now don't worry, let me hold on.
go on. Yeah, go
First
on.
thing first,
The floor.
if they are going
Just
to have a
just
woman leader,
in 1 minute, so that I can have
yes,
one more question for you before we round up.
if they are going to have a woman leader, then they should have a man leader too.
Come
If
on,
you
Lancelot.
understand what I
Come
mean.
on.
No. Listen to me very well. If they're going to have a woman leader, they should have a man leader. See, in being gender sensitive, we should understand that we should not stereotype one gender and make them feel like they are less privileged, and as such, we are having sympathy on them. That is what that woman leader position is doing. My house, in my administration, I was the first person to produce the first female Bonny Federation secretary. There is no part of the constitution that says a woman cannot contest for the youth leader of Bonny Federation. In fact, the female that contested that secretary was opting to be the first female youth leader. It was on negotiation ground and bargaining that we opted and said, okay, we'll take secretary. Until today, the record is still there. All about choice, Jamaica is the first female secretary of Bonny Federation. Now, creating the office of woman leader or directorate of women affairs, it means that you're now making the female folks feel less advantaged. You understand? And as such, they cannot come up and contend other positions. So they should resort to female women affairs, directorate of women affairs alone, which is wrong. I don't know, when you're trying to be gender sensitive, you have to be very careful. I don't know if you understand me. See,
Mm-hmm.
I am one person who is always advocating for female in offices, in political offices. And as such, you will not begin to say, in fact, in the current national union of in the current constitution of national union of Bonny students that we are reviewing, we are also taking out that clause that states that the office of the vice president is peculiar, is for the female alone, so that the female can also contend the office of the president. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
well, let us not stereotype the female to one office in the name of helping them. I am totally in support of female being in office. I've supported several. Deborah Ibaningo was the first female president of National Union of Muslims in my institution. I supported her to become the first female president. And if I see a credible female that is contesting the election in Bonny Federation, I'm going to lay my weight. I'm going to support that person to hold the office of the youth leader as long as they can deliver. Time has gone past when we begin to look and say, this one is because of female are not interested or they are not coming up. Let us give them this office. It's wrong. In the Constitution of America, those things are no longer valid. That's
All right.
a country, a constitution that a country we are
All right.
learning from. Let us not
Teme,
give that room.
Teme, are you in alignment with this thought?
Uh, in contrary, I think that position is a welcome development. I think the female folks should be given some sort of advantage. In the world as at today, as at now, the male are more advantageous in terms of political office. We have not been able to bridge that gap. So
Okay.
if we have a position like this, the female will know that nobody is contending with them on this particular one. So there should be a position like this, but it should be constitutional. It should be done in the right way. It will give the women a sense of belonging. They will have an office, like what we hear this day, sex for job. So it is a responsibility of this office to checkmate those things. I believe the caretaker did a good job in terms of thinking about this, but it should be done the right way. We cannot compare ourselves with you. Sorry,
This gender.
Okay.
last
Last lot. Hold on.
we cannot
Last lot.
compare. We cannot
Hold on.
compare ourselves with the developed countries, brother. We are far behind. We've not gotten to that stage. As it is now, it will be difficult to get a woman to contest the BYF leader. And if you want to doubt, let's conclude this election and you'll find out that we'll have more like 98% men compared to women. So with this office, it will give them a sense of belonging. They'll have an office where they alone can contest. It's a good one, but it should be ratified and enshrined in the Constitution.
All right, gentlemen. Because of time, I don't want us to stress this conversation because it's one that I'm very interested in. And I was happy in the last chat with the chairman of the caretaker committee. He has uh, 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 um, assured me that the forms for for women to contest for various positions, the cost will be checked and it will be reduced, drastically reduced for them to allow for inclusion. Like Temer said, it's a welcome development for that position, and I also agree. But we need to checkmate the constitutional requirement for that. But unfortunately, when the caretaker committee said they are working with that constitution, it's even difficult for anybody to even comment on that. But let's move on. Lancelot, quickly, you wanted to talk about the registration of the BYF over the years. In one of my chats with the caretaker chairman, I asked him about the Bonny Youth Assembly and the Bonny Youth Federation. He said the Bonny Youth Federation was a decree of 19 19 something before the military, and because it's a decree, there's no issue bearing the name Bonny Youth Federation. And I asked him, federation is not it cannot go into CAC because I know that for sure, and it will be difficult for us to maybe interface with global organizations or national organizations for some purpose or the other in the future. But I've come to understand, like Gift told me in my last chat, he said the BYF is a pressure group and they should remain a pressure group. So why do we want to register it?
Now, registering the organization makes it a legal entity. First of all, for you to develop, you must partner with people. And then nobody wants to partner with you when you're not recognized by law. There have been opportunity for BYF to have dealings with UN AIDS. There have been an opportunity for BYF to have dealings with WHO. There have been opportunity for BYF to have dealings with World Bank. But what keeps drawing this organization backward is the fact that they don't have a legal document. And then there have been funds. There are international funds earmarked for youth organizations, CBOs. There is World Youth Organization, World Youth Assembly. And then until you're registered and recognized by the law, you cannot associate yourself with these organizations that can help you achieve development. And as such, that was why my recommendation goes to that. First of all, you must register, because if you center all your life around multinationals and Bonny, at some point these multinationals knows that you can't even go beyond the bounds. You can't even cross the border, the river, and then bring them to their knees. And as such, they will begin to play with you. They will begin to toy with you. But if they know that you have international recognition and you can draw down organizations like World Health Organization, WHO, UN AIDS, and UNICEF, and the rest of them, you understand, to Bonny, because you're partnering with them. And then how can you partner with them? You must be registered. Then they will also always listen to your yearnings. And that was why the administration of because came up with the idea of registering. See, if you like, whether I like it or not, Bonny Kingdom is an international community. And as such, we cannot continue to work as if we're a local community. And how can you achieve this international standard, international? How can you bring the international bodies to beam their light on this, on us? Is when we begin to operate in that level. I remember there was a time World Bank released a particular fund for you, HIV/AIDS program and the rest of during the Fuel administration. I was invited by River State government. I represented the BOIF in that program. And at the end of the day, we were asked to raise a proposal for funds to be released to each CBOs. What actually altered that activity was the fact that we have no CAC documents. And there are others. This is just the one I'm directly involved in. And we have seen opportunities to partner and bring in international organizations. It is very necessary that we register this. See, it does not stop you. Registering does not stop you from being a pressure group, mind you. NGOs that are registered, Revolution Now and the rest of them, they are also recognized by law.
Okay, but why will a pressure group want all of this? I can see the comments from Gift Heart. He said the BYF now is registered with the River State government, and Ministry of Youth. Is that not enough?
Of course, you could say within the periphery of River State, we can operate. But we're looking at gaining international recognition and operating with a standard at which Bonny is going. We're looking at one day we're having a particular program, a project that is saying, but to say this program is sponsored by World Bank and it's in partnership with Bonny Federation. We cannot wait for the local government or the state government or for them to drag in these organizations before we can be able to access these funds for development.
All right, Teme, 1 minute your comment on this, then we can round up with your final statement. Teme,
Okay.
a pressure group. Is there any need? Bonny Youth Assembly, Bonny Youth Federation. Are you indifferent? What do you support? And what do you think will be best?
What I think is that before we run or before we fly, we must learn to creep. As a local registered body in River State, what have we achieved? What has been the impact with the local registration that we have? So from there, you will start talking about what you need to do, going outside the federation and all sort of. My brother, we should put our hearts together right now in this contest. First of all, live up to your expectation. You're a pressure group. Have you been mounting pressure? As the BY been mounting pressure, how many times have they called the youth of Bonny Kingdom as a pressure group? We have a lot to do domestically before looking at going outside to get recognition with World Health. Also, those are long distance things. What the opportunity we have been given now with the registration we have with River State, what have we been able to achieve with that? Those are the mindset the leader that is coming up now should be able to harness. Let's use the ones that we have right now to actualize our dream. The truth of the matter is that I'm not even seeing a leader, a youth federation that is a pressure group. People that I'm seeing have been entangled by the traditional rulers or the local government. So I still see the same crop of BYF leadership, and it's so unfortunate. Let's show that we are pressure group first. You don't need registration to exhibit that mandate to be a pressure group. You don't need it locally.
Let me understand what you say when you're saying pressure group. Eh? When you're saying pressure group, are you trying to take us back to the days of high normal and
No,
blocking it? Because that's the only way. That's the only way you can man pressure
not that.
without being recognized by law. Well,
In some
looking at
community,
modern pressure group, time and coming. When you look at modern
landlord,
pressure, so modern
in some
pressure group
community,
pressures with legal litigations. That's the only way you can man pressure in our current dispensation. We have gone past the time when we will begin to expose the life of our youth to dangers. Imagine having all those armored cars along LNG road, and LNG is not yielding to your plea, and then you say your pressure group, okay, Oshogbe. Casualty can happen, and then you might be the victim.
He
So
said
landlord.
that should be.
with this.
Only in let me draw your attention. Let me draw your attention. Only
hold on.
Mimawe had took the situation in Bonny to House of Reps. I don't know if you are aware of that. Only one person.
Youth coalition not
Because of
registered.
what the whole youth.
No,
Bonny youth
let us understand.
coalition will do.
Youth
You
coalition.
are
Imam had did not do that as a youth of Bonny. He did it as the president of Youth Coalition for Good Governance. It's a registered group that is recognized by government for Bonny people within the environment.
the point is that let us work internally. Let us achieve something internally. There are places that I know their youth body is strong. They are strong not because they are registered. They are strong because they are united.
Let me tell you. You know, I've been
gentlemen,
in this circle for 14 years, and
Of
then
course,
I've
that is
seen
why
this.
we are
I've seen
looking
this
at
thing
it
happen.
from outside. We are also seeing.
When you're saying that you're seeing pressure group, you're seeing pressure group. When you come inside, you understand that what is more pleasurable about you is your ability to articulate and see loopholes that the government and international organization can support you to achieve. Because if
okay,
it
but
is only by yourself,
last
you cannot achieve them.
last lot. When this issue came up, also in the last conversation I had, there were allegations that as at then the BYF leadership as at then wanted to register that body for selfish reasons and for money making reasons deliberately. Is that true?
In the individually, we cannot tell our intent. Today it might be me. Today it might be me. There,
Mm.
and then people will come up with their whole idea. I'm a businessman. At the end of the day, if I am the youth leader of Bonny Federation and I register Bonny Youth Federation, and then I am able to drag one or two international body, you understand, to cite a project in Bonny, and then I say, okay, because I have dragged them, my company should be the one to run the contract, or I will recommend the company to run the contract. It is on personal ground. Now, when people are saying you register an organization for personal aggrandizement, I don't understand, because it is just people who do not understand that when you register an organization, you're not registering it as a company. You're registering it as a CBO, community-based organization, and then you will be issued CAC certificate to show that,
Okay.
okay, these are the framework that you're operating under, and as
All
such,
right.
anything outside this framework, it's you
Ge-
working against your own, you understand, terms
All
of
right.
registration.
All right. Gentlemen, it's been an amazing conversation there. But before we go, let me read the comment from our Yala Samuel Allison. Is the president of the Bonny Graduate Forum. He said, woman leader is perfect, but should be constitutional. Our women should be given more platform to be leaders. All right. But it's been an interesting conversation, guys. I know I had read a few documents on the Bonny Youth Federation registration as Bonny Youth Assembly, um, and I love the entire structure of it. There was supposed to be a board of trustee, and there's supposed to be other things to administer the leadership of the BYE and overseas activities, which I think is very impressive. But thank you so much. Last lot, your light has gone. Oh, Nigeria. Okay,
That was my brother.
okay. All right. So, but before I let you go, I want you to give 1 minute closing statement each, and say a few words, speaking to the kind of leaders we expect in the upcoming BYF election, Just 1 minute, your closing statement before we round off. Teme, let me start with you so that I can let you go first. All right.
Okay, the kind of leader I look forward to, it's a leader that will work with the traditional institution, be cordial with the local government, and be fearless and defend the interest of the youth. It will not be a bad idea if the youth leader try to work with the government that be in Bonny to fix the salary range for the train 7. The youth leader should be incorporated. At least it's high time we start to have a say in this kingdom as youth. So I want a youth leader that will be less entangled with all these political people. They should be less entangled because that reduces their power. Seriously, it reduces their power. I'm a party man, but I own myself because nobody feeds me. I feed myself. I'm not looking for money from anybody. That's the kind of leader that I want.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Lancelot, 1 minute closing statement. What kind of BYF, what kind of leaders should we expect in the BYF in the next coming election? And just speak to it in one minute so that we can close up.
Okay, I'm looking for to a youth leader that will come out and then restructure Bonny Federation and reorganize it to meet current trends. Because it is until we do that, we'll keep rotating and revolving around these whole issues. Because by and large, at the end of this administration, or towards the end of this administration, you will see
Hello, Lancelot.
that
Lancelot.
the can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now.
If
Go on. Okay, can hear you
you
now.
look deep, you know that it is interest, personal interest that is causing the rancor. And then I'm looking forward to a youth leader that is a mixed breed. You
Okay.
understand? That has a little of the street and then more of the intellectual. You understand? Because you'll be a youth leader of everybody. And then I bet if you look, 60 to 70% of our youths believe that you must have that small atom of violence. If not, you will not survive, especially in the
Doc,
Niger Delta.
I think you should call it street smart, not
Eh,
violent.
so
Not
you
violent.
must be
Not violent at all.
you must be a bit erratic. A leader that's a
Okay.
bit erratic that can balance the equation, because you must not be all local government, all traditional institutions. You must be able to strike a balance. You must be able to synergize all these institutions, both the
Okay.
company,
All right.
the local and state government and international institution, be able to bring them
Mhm.
together to a round table for the interests of Bonny youth, and then
All right.
restructure the organization to meet current trends.
All right, all right. Lancelot is for restructure, restructure. And gentlemen, thank you so much. And just for your information, another pressure group that has not been registered by law is the Ijo Youth Congress, the IYC. The IYC has been in operation since 2002 as a pressure group within the Niger Delta, and the IYC till date has not been registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's another issue for another day, another conversation for another day. But I'm of the opinion, I don't know how they operate, but if they are not registered, I don't know how they're going to work out. But maybe I don't understand the concept of what a pressure group really is. But the question is, in 2020, how do we define what a pressure group is? I think it's another conversation for another day. But thank you, gentlemen. You've done an awesome job for us today. I really must appreciate you for your time. Sorry, I've taken your entire evening for this Sunday, but it was important we have this conversation. Thank you so much.
There,
Thank you
there
so
was
much.
one thing you didn't touch. You talked about
Mm,
how we manage police brutality.
yeah.
We didn't discuss it.
Uh, yes, yes, yes. Because of time, there's a lot we have been talking about, and I can see Teme needs to
We
go
can
somewhere. Teme needs to
we
go
can
somewhere.
exhaust the whole discussion we have
So
now. There will still be
yes, yes.
time. Lord,
But I
thank you
tried
so
to,
much.
yeah, yes, but I tried to touch
Keep
it before
talking
we
about your
started,
life,
before you
please.
guys came. All
On
right.
your generator.
I thought
All
that
right.
we're
Thank you,
enjoying in body.
gentlemen.
I see what you're enjoying in body now.
Thank you,
if
gentlemen.
you
Have
Thank
a
you so
fine
much.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Such a robust conversation, and a fine one for that matter. I'm happy we're able to touch a lot of areas and try to break things down. Wow, there's a lot waiting for the next leaders of the BYF, and a lot we're expecting in the upcoming elections of the BYF. And the election, mind you, is on the 24th of October in Bonny. But all of this conversation we're having is to make sense out of what we should expect from the leaders and all executive members that are going to come in the next administration of the BYF. And I like the idea. Do we have just one leader that appoints his cabinet and work with? Would that reduce the rancor within the BYF? Would that cause gross insubordination of the leader of the BYF? And would that create uh, uh, um, um, there's a word my guest choose, but at the same time, too, will it make the system work better? Will it mean one man comes with a vision and brings a team together to write that vision? Would that work better for us? Anyways, in coming days, within the next week, I'm looking at between the 15th and the 16th. I'm going to have the two persons that are running for the position for leader on my show, and we're going to ask them a lot of questions on what they want to do for Bonny Youth. I'm hoping to drive this conversation here on the Hangout series on the 15th or the 16th of October, but I'm going to let you guys know on my page. So if you have not followed my page, follow my page and click the live notification button to know and be the first when I go live. What are they coming to do for us as youth leaders? What is their vision? What is going to drive the administration? What should we expect? Another position I see that has been very tricky with a lot of contestants is the position of a director of manpower. Not guessing so much. You can see that because of the train 7, there's a spike in that position. But should we just accept anybody for the position of manpower because train 7 is coming? What do you know about train 7? What do you want to come and do for train 7? What do you understand is happening in train 7? How will you secure jobs for Bonny Youth? What are you going to do? You just want to bear the name director of manpower? Or do you have something tangible you want to give to Bonny Youth? I'm going to be squeezing those persons for that positions in coming days to be able to understand what they want to really come and do. Stick with me, follow my page, and be the first to know when I go live for these conversations within the week. And I'm not going to end the show today without recognizing and sending so much love and best wishes to Dr. Barak Kabaka Hart and Mayor Allah Hart. I mean, these are two fine gentlemen. They are two fine leaders. It's no coincidence they were born on the same day, today, the 11th of October. But they have been fine leaders in their various capacity, and I really want to use this opportunity to appreciate them as they celebrate their birthday today, and that means a lot. They have been doing so much work for the kingdom on a low key. They have been amazing community workers that have been doing so much in their very personal capacity. So, Mayor Allah Hart and Dr. Barak Abaka, this is me sending you love and best wishes, long life and good health. All right. So when I have the leaders within the week, I'm also going to ask them the issue of how they are going to handle uh, um, uh, police brutality or police issues, an issue of security as it concerns youth of Bonny during their time and their administration. It's a very critical conversation I'm going to have with them, and I've noted that down. And I will see you on the 15th or the 16th. When I have a confirmed date, I'm going to share on my page. So follow my page and be the first to know. Good evening and have a very fine Sunday. And I really must appreciate everybody. Awoyala Samuel Hart, Kingston Jumbo, Prince Tony Dapper, and all of you that have been commenting. Gift Furu Hart, former BYF leader. Everybody that has been commenting and sharing their thoughts and have called in to share their thoughts on the show. This is why we have the Hangout series. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will see you next week for the next edition of the show.